that you're already, yeah, that time of year is back. PPL Live, it's time to crown another champ. 2023 to 24, it's going down. Lots of competition, only one can wear the crown. Hope that you're already, yeah, the time of year is back. PPL Live, it's time to crown another champ. 2023 to 24, it's going down. Lots of competition, only one can wear the crown. Squad underestimated, finally won his first shit. They put the work and made some trades, yeah, that was good shit. But don't get comfortable, the league is filled with champions. Don't sleep on your opponent, better stay away from ambience. We back again, another year of PPL. Back to talk smack again, we treat it like the NFL. Time to stack your rosters up and build your best to never fail. By week 6 we take advantage, if you're weak cause we can tell. You better bring your A game, be solid like an A-frame. A new year but the same thing, you better be ready to bang bang. It's showtime, PPL Live is ready to go. Gino the Jet will let you know it won't be easy, that's for sure. When the pass smacking bones crack, yeah, you gotta love that. Glad it's back, PPL, let's run it back. Live show, speak the facts, analyze and talk the trash. Play the game to win the cash, never try to end the blast. Hope that you're already, yeah, that time of year is back. PPL Live, it's time to crown another champ. 2023 to 24, it's going down. Lots of competition, only one can wear the crown. Hope that you're already, yeah, that time of year is back. PPL Live, it's time to crown another champ. 2023 to 24, it's going down. Lots of competition, only one can wear the crown. PPL Live.
PPL Live, week 4. We are here. We are at the quarter mark. The first month of the season is almost over. Ulysses S. Haight is on the line. Gino the Gent is talking to you. It is week 4 in the PPL. Still much to be decided, but it looks like things are getting a little bit more clearer in view. But before we go into the front view, we got to go into that rear view mirror and take a look back at week 3. Starting with squad underestimated, coming close, but no cigar. The Argonauts win 149 to squad underestimated's 146. Only for the boss shows that championship medal. Leaves no doubt on the gaff, 171 to 118. The United players, the Destroyers, show that they are still in this thing, 138 to the Skulls 130. The Baby Gas team make it 2 in a row. Big win to improve their odds, 127 to the struggling Trey Fitties 98. And Patty's Twins, no QB, no JT, no Austin Eckler, no problem. Still a resounding victory for the Twins, 162 to appease the gods, 143. All right, man. So looking at these scores, man, what stands out to you looking at this first week, or this, our third week? I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, I was just really excited. A lot of these matchups were really tight, especially, I mean, coming into the Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening stretch. I mean, a lot to be decided. I loved how high scoring it was.
Right.
With most teams, let's put that caveat. And so just really excited to get into it with you this week, Gino.
No, definitely, man. It was a fun week of PPL action, a few surprises, a lot of close matchups, and they all came down to a few photo finishes. So it was a great week. Week 3 was a fun, exciting week in the PPL, but it's time to take one last look back at week 3. You know what time it is, man. I love this part of the show. I want the good, the bad, and the ugly. You guys know what time it is. Good, bad, and ugly time. Ulysses, let me hear it, brother. Let me hear your good, bad, and ugly of week 3.
I mean, it's a cinch, right? I mean, only for the boss.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Man, I loved what I saw out of Only for the Boss.
Yes,
This
sir.
is the team we've been waiting to see. I mean, hey, anytime the Chiefs, Travis Kelce's press box is getting more play than the entire other team, you're living the good life. I mean, I loved seeing the scoring here in a week where individual performances
Let's effing go.
Yeah, I mean, as we saw individual performances just blow up, this team was getting it everywhere. I mean, he has 5 positions reaching 20, but not 30. He was getting it everywhere. I loved what Only for the Boss did here, and really put themselves in a good position in what's shaking out to look like a highly competitive Alpha Conference this year. That's my good.
All right, what's your bad, bro?
My bad's the Skulls. And I mean, it's hard to say that on a team that goes 130.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty damn good effort, but it's kind of like I'm expecting more from you, bro. This was a team that I expect to outright win the Omega Conference.
Right.
And right now they're sitting at 1-2, losing to a team that I don't think is very good, but hey, had the stroke.
Had a great week.
I mean, had a great week, but I mean, again, when I'm looking at, when Josh Allen and the Bills are doing what they're doing, you should win these games.
Right.
He's just not getting consistent play. I mean, combined running back action is like 9 points.
Yeah.
That's just not going to get it done.
Yeah.
And so he's really gotta figure out some running back depth issues.
Yeah.
I don't see it necessarily on the bench just yet with Rashad White.
Right.
Algier, he had the amazing week 1. Roshan Johnson, I don't trust any Chicago Bear right now. It was bad, but I think he can potentially bounce back. But again, just did not expect the Skulls to be in this position.
For sure, a bad week for the Skulls, man. What's your ugly?
Well, my ugly has to be squad underestimated. I mean, we talked about this last week, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a couple reasons why this is ugly. I mean, anytime you score 146, you expect to win. It's ugly. It's unfortunate. But it happens. Okay, right. I can forgive that. Hey, your guys are playing. But then I'm looking at the game. I'm looking at decisions that teams have to make. And I mean, a team that confidently benched the coach last week,
right?
Which would have factored. I think mistakenly this week plays the coach and gets a -6. You do that same move that you did last week. This week you're in the winner's circle,
right?
The Argos had a really good week, and I mean, why I say that, I mean, they have 149 with the coach loss. I mean, you're talking 10-point swing or 20-point swing minimum,
right?
So I mean the squad actually had an opportunity here and did make the right decisions when he needed to. And again, I'm looking at the bench depth right now. We're about to head into bye weeks, and a lot of teams' benches aren't really performing. So again, guys are going to have to go out there and start finding some scoring.
For sure.
I thought it was an ugly week for squad underestimated. He's much better than that 1-2 record.
Yeah.
But again, sustaining championship, and he's going into a matchup against the UP that just put 138. So
no, definitely. And you could say that they're better than their record, but I'm gonna go with the old Bill Parcells line. You are what your record says you are. And right now, squad is under 500. They're 1-2. Not the start. I'm sure they wanted to their championship repeat season or their defense of their title. I'm gonna go with my good, man. And you know what, man? You already know where I'm going with my good. It's chronic. It's Patty's Twins. Highly impressed with what happened this week.
Same.
I mean, come on, man. No QB, no problem. No JT, no problem. No Eckler, no problem. They still found a way to get 162. The Twins have the magic, being the first ever PPL champions. It's just a magical thing that happens with this team. They find a way when things come around to it on Sundays to make things happen and get wins. Appease the Gods is no stranger to this, and they found out, again, unfortunately for them, the hard way. 162 in an effort against a team that put up 143 is you getting it when you need to get it. Keenan was unstoppable. Amon-Ra had a great week, and of course the Buffalo defense was on point. Tutu Atwell even came through on Monday night. I just love what the Twins did, and it was a really good week for them, and this is the kind of performance that they're going to need to build on as they continue to go forward. Remember, they started really bad last year. They're getting wins early in the season now, so this is going to really set them up to possibly have a good rebound season. My bad, man. I'm agreeing with you, man. We must have cross-referenced notes on this one because I got to go with the Skulls, man. I'm really feeling this team. I really like what this team has to offer, and I can't make the excuse that the Bengals struggles with Jamar Chase is holding them back. He had 21. I'm going to say what it is. The Aaron Jones injury is what's holding them back right now. I think that he helps them get a few more points. But at the end of the day, I'm with you, Ulysses. You got Josh Allen and Buffalo coach both going for the 20-pointers. You got to find a way to get that win. But like I've said, the United Players, the Destroyers, have had their number, and it just has continued to be what's kept them out from being the team that has won the Omega Conference title, and it's already reared its ugly head early in the 2023 season. And my ugly, man, I got to go with a guy that, I've been giving a lot of props to lately, but I got to go back to it when it's appropriate. And it's the Gaff. You got Only for the Boss, a matchup that I know for a fact you circled post-draft, smelling yourself, feeling yourself, exchanging text messages and stuff. Let's be real. You letting it be known how you feeling post-draft. You felt like you was ready for that challenge. And then they come out and leave no doubt on your shit. Not only that, you only put up 118. I think it's the second highest or lowest scoring total of the week. Not impressed with the Gaff. That connection, it just seems like when the Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown connection goes off for the Gaff, nothing else seems to work. Now, Kenneth Walker did go off. But you know what this guy has always depended on? His ancillaries, coach and defense weren't quite there, and you got embarrassed. The Gaff has got to figure out a way to pick this up, get it going in the right direction before it starts going in the wrong direction. Because one loss turns into two losses. We saw how the Gaff faded very early down the stretch last year. They don't need the losses mounting, especially in a game that they had circled and that they thought that they could really get. But that being said, as I always love to say, what's past is prologue. It's time to move on to the present of the PPL. So let's go on to week 4. And what better way to start our week 4 action than to start in the Omega Conference for a huge old school Omega Conference rivalry. Got a big one here as we come into view of week 4 as the Gaff Attack takes on Appease the Gods in a big one. All right, man, this is a huge one for both of these teams. The Gaff trying to get back on track and get to 3-1. ATG trying to stay on track and get to 2-2 and bring the Gaff down in their misery, man. What do you think of this one? A great matchup. Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. I know Russell Wilson's in the lineup now, but I got a compelling case for Lamar. But what do you think of this one, man? Gaff, ATG.
I've got a compelling case against Lamar, and it's his ability to take sacks, and it's the ability for the Cleveland defense to get those sacks.
Okay.
And we know in the PPL how costly sacks are for quarterbacks. And I think that's what he's saying. I mean, he's saying, hey, Lamar's probably going to have a good game.
Okay.
He's probably going to get some production from Mark Andrews. I mean, he's dependent on it, in fact. And so I think he's looking out the matchup. I mean, let's be honest. Russell Wilson's playing that butter-soft Chicago defense.
Right.
And I think that situates ATG well here. I think this is maybe a game that they're maybe depth that they seem to have, or at least early on. I mean, hey, they haven't been getting it right.
Yeah.
But they've had guys that have had scoring ability. I like their matchups this week. Bijan has shown, I think, against Jacksonville, he'll do well.
Yeah.
Raheem had, what else can we say?
Right.
Devonta is a good check against Jalen. Michael Pittman is getting volume. I mean, if for nothing else, it doesn't really matter who's in there. He's at least going to see a lot of balls come his way.
Right.
Montgomery's the kind of question mark for me here because, again, I think that if he does play, I think he's a real good check, especially with the Gaff having Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it, man. Kenneth Walker should have a field day on the Giants. He's also got AJ.
Yeah.
I mean, I love this matchup, but like you said, I like ATG's coach, defense, kicker tandem this week. The Chiefs at Jets. Elliott's shown to be the best at the position right now, and I like the Seahawks as that Monday night check. May not even have to go there if things are going well. I think he'll have to go there.
Right.
Especially, I think Cowboys probably go, but, I would not sleep on New England losing the way that they did. Trust me, Bill Belichick is looking at how to defensively play some chess with Dak Prescott. And, hey, they got Zeke. I know he knows their offensive playbook.
Yeah.
So, and then I'm not so sure about this Bucks D against New Orleans. It might be Jameis, but hey, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I've got the ATG getting right in this one, ultimately having enough to go. In a close one, though.
Okay.
I've got them winning 127 to the Gaffs 124.
Okay. Honestly, this matchup really hinges on, I think ATG has a few adjustments that they can make and they'll win this matchup. But looking at this matchup, if we go on with present lineups, I think I'm going to lean towards the Gaff. I like Jalen Hurts in a bounce back game, or not really a bounce back game, but coming even off of a short week, I like them in this game against Washington. Washington is a team that I think is teetering. That they're kind of good, but they're kind of not. Their defense is middle of the road. Their offense is middle of the road. And Philly needs to honestly continue to keep pace and keep momentum with the other top teams in the league. People are starting to, I think, see chinks in their armor. And I think Jalen Hurts is going to have to cover some of that up. And I think him and A.J. Brown can do that. I like the fact that T.J. Hawkinson gets the Carolina Panthers. They got one of the worst pass defenses in the game right now. Jahmyr Gibbs, I think, and then this is where it comes into the stylistic matchup here. I think Jahmyr Gibbs on a short week with his young, fresh legs is probably going to get the lion's share of the carries. And I don't even think ATG needs to go David Montgomery here. I almost think that he has to go with the guy he traded for in the offseason with DJ Moore. He's going up against a defense that just gave up 70 points. I think if there's any week that the Chicago offense is going to get right, this is going to be the week. And I think that the Denver Broncos are honestly heading in the wrong direction. A lot of fingers being pointed. It's kind of hard to come back from a 70-point defeat. And I don't know if they bounce back at Chicago. Now, if this was a game at Denver, I could see going with Russ. But I think you got to go with Lamar Jackson again, going against a familiar divisional opponent. He's seen Myles Garrett before. He's seen this Cleveland defense line before. And I've seen him make Swiss cheese of that team. I think that Lamar is comfortable playing this opponent. I think this is a game that he can actually get pretty dumb in. And I think ATG might be better served starting him. If things do hold the way they are, though, I think that the Gaff attack slightly gets by here. I don't know about that Cowboys coach. Things are starting to look a little unsettled in Dallas, especially with them playing a New England team that can exploit weaknesses. And Bill Belichick is going to definitely be looking for those weaknesses. And I'm not sold on the defense. Ancillary positions is typically where the Gaff has their strength. I'm not seeing it here, but I think ATG has a few changes that they can make. In the end, if things stay the way they are, I got the Gaff squeaking by 124 to ATG's 119. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into our next Omega Conference matchup. Another big one in the PPL. A huge one for the Skulls and for Patty's Twins. Both teams, like in the previous matchups, trying to stake their claims and make their identities for the season. We got Patty's Twins taking on the Skulls. All right, man, so I basically laid it out right there. It's the same pretty much situation. The Twins are in the Gaff situation, trying to make 2-1, 3-1, and the Skulls are in ATG situation, trying to turn a season that they feel could be promising from 1-2 to 2-2, get back to 500, man. What do you think of this one? Big Omega Conference matchup. The Skulls suddenly in trouble, going up against the Twins, suddenly looking like they can smell roses.
Yeah, and I think he has good reason to smell trouble. I've got the Patty's Twins in this one.
Okay.
And really, what I'm looking at is Austin Eckler's getting back into the lineup.
Yeah.
Which is huge. I think Matthew Stafford, she might have a better option, but I mean, he's absolutely capable. And again, against that Indy defense, he can score.
Yeah.
I think Houston gets Pittsburgh this week, and I think Damian Pierce has a lot to do with that.
Okay.
I'm liking the discipline. I'm seeing out of C.J. Stroud. He's looking, a lot more capable and disciplined than some of these other guys, and ultimately he's playing mistake-free football.
Right.
And that's huge. I mean, you're allowed to go out there, take a sack, don't throw picks, and don't fumble.
Yeah.
We saw what Keenan's about. I just love this. Tutu Atwell was great, but I mean, again, Bills defense kind of. I don't know if I'd be starting them this week against Miami. Again, I know what they did last week. I'd be kind of hesitant there. But 49ers coach is locked. I look at the other side. I mean, again, I don't know how Josh Allen and the Bills are doing this week.
Yeah.
Going against Miami, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't really know what to say. Both these teams really shat last week.
Right.
But, I mean, I really was impressed with that offensive performance. I mean, defense really took advantage, I think, of just a young quarterback and just dominated last week.
No, for sure.
But again, the running back play, I'm not convinced on Ramondre or Aaron Jones right now. And so I think the real locks here are Josh Allen should have a great day in Olave. Elsewhere, it just really hasn't gelled for me necessarily. I've got the Twins, and I've got them actually in my lock of the week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 133 to the Skulls 118.
Okay.
This is a tough one, man, but you know what? I'm gonna go the other way. I've preached it all season long. I'm gonna stick with that. If Aaron Jones plays, I think that the Skulls get back to themselves. I don't know about the Zay Flowers play though. I think that even though he does get volume and he gets receptions, they're not getting yards per play. I mean, I think he had like 7 catches or 6 catches for like 40 yards or something like that. That's just not going to get it done. With 7 catches, you should at least have at the least 80 to 90 yards. If you're struggling to get 50 yards on 7 catches, then that offense needs to figure out a way to expand. I think that they probably got to figure out a way to go back to Rashad White or even Tyler Algier. I think that they can run. Both running backs eat in that Atlanta offense because they run the ball so much. So there's options for the Skulls, but on the Twins side, they get Austin Eckler back. I mean, they put up 162 without him last week, without competent quarterback play. I keep harping on that, and it was just highly impressive. This is one of the toughest matchups of the week to pick, just because the Skulls were one of my, they were one of my early season picks to really do damage this year. And if they fall to 1-3, things could be trouble. But this Patty's Twins team is forcing me to reevaluate the situation right now. Tutu Atwell looked great on Monday Night Football. Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think he's playing with like a steel toe plate in his cleat or something like that. And he's still balling. He still had 16 last week. We saw what Keenan Allen could do. And Matthew Stafford's due for a bounce back against the Colts defense that's not as good as that Bengals front four. So I guess in the end, man, this is like I said, I was going back and forth on this, and this is a tough matchup to pick, but I got to go Patty's Twins here. I always pick them anyway. They're always my good when they do good, and they look good while they do good. I got Patty's Twins getting this victory, 129 to the Skulls 122. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into a crucial Alpha Conference game for both teams. However, they stand on extreme ends of the PPL. We have the PPL's best, the Argonauts, taking on the PPL's worst at the moment. I need about Trey Fitty. All right, man, we got 3-0 against 0-3. The Argonauts coming in as the highest scoring team in the league, going against one of the lowest scoring teams in the league, Trey Fitty, man. What do you think of this one? Big one for the Argonauts. They could really start to set themselves ahead in the league and in the Alpha Conference with this win. A huge one for Trey Fitty. I mean, if they're going to have any chance, they're going to need this matchup. What do you think of this matchup, man? Argo, Trey Fitty.
I mean, I don't know what we're looking at here. We're just seeing some of the the real chinks in Trey Fitty's strategy. And I'll say, I think at this point in 3 weeks in,
Right.
the thing that really hurt this team, again, it's unfortunate, Aaron Rodgers' injury.
Yeah.
It essentially took Breece Hall and
Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson.
They're just flex guys. They're flex guys.
They're flex guys, and unfortunately, he's got him in. Jalen Waddle has just not looked the same as last year.
Right.
And again, it's the other cat's indefensible. I wouldn't be starting the Bengals, coach. Yes, they won. It wasn't
pretty at all. Yeah.
And Joe Burrow isn't 100%, and so
there's options.
I don't know if I trust that. I look at the other side though, and I think the Argonauts have this lineup is absolutely stacked right now. Top to bottom, these are must starts. The one real guy that is somewhat underwhelmed has been Alexander Madison, but
right.
That whole Minnesota team is underwhelmed. I would say outside of Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been turnover prone. It's been Jefferson for me, and hey, he's out here. Devontae, we saw what Devon down in Miami's capable of. I wouldn't trust the Cowboys defense right now. I think he could find somebody else. I'd probably go Patriots. See, he's got him on his bench.
Right.
And again, I'm not sure I trust the Jags. This game's in London. We saw them take a
bad L. Yeah, no, definitely. Agreed.
And I think even with how bad Ritter is for Atlanta, I think that they have enough weapons and could get this Jags. I think he has better options there too. But even with that, I think he ends up setting the right lineup, and I've even got him in a leave no doubt performance. I don't know how crucial this one is. I think until I can see Trey Fitty put up points, I don't think he's going to be able to hang. And I've got the Argos winning this one 153 to I need about Trey Fitty's 108.
All right, man. I agree with you. Ultimately, I think the Argonauts are going to win, but I don't think Trey Fitty can be discounted by too much. I'm looking at the Jordan Love start. They win. I know that these guys have a soft spot in their heart for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak's been their quarterback the last 2 years, and I know they were utterly disgusted watching that Arizona Cardinal game last week. They go Jordan Love. They go with the enemy. They go with the Packer QB. Going up against the Detroit team that's been pretty good on Thursday night. So for you to have that level of disgust with Dak Prescott that you're willing to go Jordan Love on Thursday night, I think that speaks to a lot.
Well, Gino,
yeah.
I do have a little bit of inside intel. I was told that management for I Need About Trey Fitty was in the building last week and saw that ass whooping firsthand. I think it might be personal.
Wow. Yeah. And when things get personal, emotions run very, very high. So we see what's going on there. We got James Cook. I love the start against the Miami defense. I think that he can do some things well. I like Jalen Waddle. He did not actually play in the matchup last week, which is part of the reason I believe Achane and Moser did so well is because there was no second receiver. So it was either Tyreek or the running game, and the running game really came through. Garrett Wilson, without a quarterback, I wouldn't trust him in that spot. Kyle Pitts has been underwhelming. Now on the Argonaut side, I think they could be due for a down week. I think last year Trey Fitty beat them early in the season when they caught him on a down week. That's always a possibility. But it's going to be interesting to see if they leave Achane in. It's also going to be interesting to see if they go with Alexander Madison. Obviously, the rest of these guys are locked-in starters. Justin Herbert's looking like if the Chargers can start actually racking up wins, he could be trying to put together an MVP campaign. At the end of the day, I think the Argonauts have just enough to get this matchup. But I think Trey Fitty can make it interesting. I got the Argonauts winning this matchup 129 to Trey Fitty's 119. And moving on to our next matchup, we go into our interconference matchup of the week. We got a big one between Alpha and Omega, a rematch from our Final Four weekend, wild card weekend last year. We got the United Players, the Destroyers, taking on Squad Underestimated. And correction, that was our Final Four matchup. All right, man. So this was the team that Squad Underestimated actually defeated to go to Pantheon Cup 14. This is a big one for them. Both teams are sitting at 1-2. The UP started 0-2, got that win. Squad started 1-0 and has lost 2 in a row. So both teams are kind of in inverse situations here, man. What do you think of this one, UP Squad?
Well, I mean, I've not been a fan of the UP this season, and again, it was ugly coming into this for Squad.
Right.
This to me is, and again, it's early.
Yeah.
But to me, as I see the talent in Alpha really developing, this to me feels like a must-win for Squad.
Okay.
He's playing a team that, again, when you look at the tail of the tape here, is not as good as his team. I mean, we're 3 weeks in. UP's starting lineup right now averaging 121. Squad's averaging 153 in the lineup, and that's with Alvin Kamara making his first start of the season.
Correct.
This guy has so much talent. Number 1 quarterback, number 1 wide receiver, number 2 tight end, number 2 running back.
Right.
I mean, he has too much talent here to be 1-2.
Okay.
And so again, before he gets into freak out mode, I think he needs to have a get right week. Challenge for him right now is he's banged up. I mean, of all the teams in the PPL right now, I mean, he's looking at 5 questionable designations right now.
Okay.
His squad is banged up, which means he's got to really pay attention to how these guys are healing. But on the other side, I mean, Mike Williams is still in the lineup. He's on IR. I mean, Tua should have a good week. I mean, the UP, though, is just not as strong of a lineup. They have no business really being in this game at all, winning. Again, I'm not going to put it on Squad as for lock of the week.
Okay.
He should, though, with Hal. But, again, I'm not believing yet.
Okay.
But he should win this matchup, and I think he should win it comfortably. I've got Squad going 125 to the UP's 108.
Okay. I'm gonna go the other way here, man. I think if the UP makes a few tactical adjustments, I think they get this one. I'm looking at this matchup here, man. Kirk Cousins has given the Squad great QB play. He's almost due for a down week, and that might rear its ugly head on the road at Carolina. I could definitely see that coming. Puka Nacua, it's like it's the tried and true life of Squad Underestimated. You don't play him, he's going off. You do play him, and he comes up just short. I do love Tyreek Hill in his matchup, but the Bills are going to be about the best defense that the Dolphins have seen this season. I expect him to come down to earth a little bit. Christian McCaffrey. As the Niners get deeper and deeper into the season, the priority is going to shift from winning winning every single game, to keeping guys healthy down the stretch. I think they're already in that mode with Christian, and the way Elijah Mitchell's been running, I can see him getting a few extra carries against that Arizona front. In Alvin Kamara, I can see him also being eased in against a pretty good. I mean, Tampa Bay did get cut up by DeAndre Swift, but other than that, they've been a solid run defense. So I think that he could have a few struggles there. When I look at the other side for the United Players, I mean, whatever Tyreek's going to get is going to come from Tua. Now, that Bills defense is a little bit better, and I expect them to hold Tyreek in check a little bit more. But what we're starting to see is that Miami Dolphins offense has weapons everywhere. And I think Tua is going to be able to take advantage of that in a game that I think can get very high scoring in Buffalo. The weather should not be an issue on the road, and I think Tua is trying to put together an MVP campaign. We talked about DeAndre Swift. I mean, even before the show, we were singing this guy's praises. I'm loving what he's bringing to the table for the Eagles. He's really going to be the reason if they are to go back to the Super Bowl. It'll be because of a guy like him having a Offensive Player of the Year type season. He's already shown that kind of capability. Derrick Henry's Derrick Henry. I like the Nico Collins play, and I would get him in for Mike Williams. And what I would do in the flex, Ulysses, is I would go back to Isaiah Pacheco in the flex. You go there, you're straight, because then you get that short yardage rushing game from the Chiefs, and you're already set up for a big time matchup in a game that you're gonna have to score. The Ravens coach is not a safe bet against that Cleveland team on the road. We talked about that matchup, even though I do like Baltimore, but it's not safe. San Francisco against Arizona. Arizona showed a little more capability on offense, and they snuck up on a few teams, but I do expect San Francisco to clamp down. We don't know how healthy Ayuk is, but we do know that the United players are on an upward trend, and I think that they might have found something last week. And the squad underestimated might be going in the opposite direction. I got the UP in the upset of the week getting this matchup, man. I got them getting this one 134 to squad underestimated's 131.
I love that, Gino.
Well, we got to keep it interesting. And moving on to our prestige matchup of the week. And speaking of keeping it interesting, let's keep it as interesting as possible. We got a first timer in the prestige matchup of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, roll the red carpet out. The Baby Gas team makes their inaugural appearance in the prestige matchup of the week as they go up against the Alpha Conference champions. Only for the boss. All right, man, this is a big one here in the Alpha Conference. The Baby Gas team woke up after that week one shellacking from the Argo. They've won their last 2 Alpha Conference games, but there comes the big test, another big test for them. They beat the defending Pantheon champions. Can they defeat the defending Alpha champions? We got Only for the Boss rolling in with Mahomes and company going up against Joe Burrow and the BGT.
Yeah, I mean, man, I love the BGT. I think that what they've been doing, I mean, you heard it last week, lock of the week, and they took care of business. Really comfortably won that game. I'm kind of with you on some of the. I think if they made a few tactical moves, they could be a lot more competitive in this matchup. Okay. And it has to start for me with Joe Burrow. I'm not sure he's 100%. I mean, Mike Vrabel, I think, is going to have a good game plan against that, and I think Deshaun Watson, if he's able to go, presents a better option against Baltimore's defense. I mean, he was making Gardner Minshew look pretty competent last week. I'm looking up and down this lineup, and I mean, he has really, I think, a lot of favorable matchups if guys can get going. Right. Again, I think that the Chargers win and the Chiefs win on the other side. I just look at where Only for the Boss is, and they're just such a really good team. Yeah. I think that, with some moves and a few roster changes, BGT could really get competitive. But I mean, as long as this lineup is healthy, and some guys are carrying some questionable designations, but if Deebo Samuel goes, you have to start him. Exactly. If Miles Sanders goes, you have to start him. Right. And so I think that ultimately, it may not be as big of a spread as it typically would be, or how it was last week. But I think Only for the Boss again continues to keep pace here. Mm-hmm. I think the BGT is staying competitive in the Alpha Conference. Yeah. But I think that they aren't able to keep pace ultimately, and I've got Only for the Boss going 136 to the BGT's 128.
Okay. I'm with you, man. I love this matchup. I love that the BGT's getting their shine. They really have stepped up early in the season, and I think that they can continue to make noise throughout the season. I just don't know if this is going to be the week. I mean, if this would be David slaying Goliath, this would be an even bigger upset because the UP
this would be a huge upset.
Yeah, this would be a huge upset. I mean, because the UP won the Omega Conference title last year. Them beating Squad Underestimated wouldn't be that huge of a upset for them. But this would be huge for the Baby Gas team. I just don't see it happening. I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes against that Jets defense. Yeah, they might be able to make him a little bit uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, that Kansas City offense is going to work on you. And Patrick Mahomes is going to find a way to make a play. I like Miles Sanders going up against that low just a low vibration defense of the Minnesota Vikings. They just give it up to any and everybody. It don't matter. They like a $2 hole on Figueroa. It's ridiculous. I'm looking at Zach Moss against that Rams defense. I think that Zach Moss can have a pretty solid day. I like what Joe Mixon was able to do against that Rams front.
and Christian McCaffrey was able to do against that Rams front. And I think Zach Moss could do more of the same. He's been a nice revelation for the Boss, and as long as JT's out and Zach Moss is in, only for the Boss should be able to reap some benefits. Stephon Diggs is going to be in a shootout caliber game. Nothing not to love there. If Debo plays, I love Debo. Travis Kelce, obviously. Now, in the flex, I like Kyron Williams going up against that Indianapolis defense. And it's going to be interesting to see actually how that matchup turns out. If the Rams are able to stay in that matchup early, I like Kyron Williams to actually have a really, really big game. On the BGT side, I like Joe Burrow. If he's able to stay healthy, but at the same time, I could see them just going to Deshaun Watson against Baltimore. I think that game could get into the high 20s, and I think Deshaun can make a few plays with his legs, and that might help BGT out more. Ultimately, Joe's really struggling with that calf, and the BGT's got to put themselves in position to do the best that they can. Tactically speaking, I don't know about the Jacoby Myers play, but I see what they're thinking there. He does get a lot of targets in that offense, but Garoppolo is in concussion protocol. If he doesn't come out of it, I would say go back to Jerry Jeudy. In the end, I don't think it even really matters. I got only for the Boss in our Leave No Doubt performance. Going back-to-back Leave No Doubt wins 151 to the BGT's 122. Alrighty, PPLers, thanks for another great week of PPL Live. Thanks for the support. I always appreciate it, guys. Like I said, comment, interact on the page. Let's get the interaction up and get the vibration high in the league and have everybody going at it. That's what makes the PPL great. Once again, good luck. Have a good weekend. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. May the odds be ever in your favor, and see you next week for Week 5 action. Later.